Hello students. Today we are starting new chapter that is biodiversity and its conservation. As I already clearly mentioned, ecology unit it has 4 chapters. Till now we completed the first chapter organisms and population, and we also completed the second chapter that is ecosystem, and now we are going to start the third chapter of ecology that is biodiversity and its conservation. Let us go for the details of this chapter. Yes, biodiversity can be defined as diversity at all the levels of biological organization, that is morphological. Hope you know what is morphological. Morphological means the external characteristics of an organism is called as morphological characters. Diversity means variation. Basically, diversity means variation at all the biological organization. That includes morphological, that means external characters, or physiological, that means inside our body. Anatomical details, that means studying about internal structures of an organism is called as anatomy, whereas studying about external features of an organism it is called as morphology. So studying about external details and the diversity in terms of external details, and also diversity in terms of physiological, that means functional aspects of the organ system that is present in the body, or genetical means, hope you know, the process of transmission from characters from one generation to another generation. Or it may be regional differences. Regional differences means one region to another regions, how these organisms are differing. As in the last classes also, we many times we crossed this point, actually we discussed this point. The same type of organisms, they vary from one organism to another organism. See, bear, polar bear is also a bear, whereas a tropical bear is also a bear. But you can see the polar bear, it is a little bulky. It is having thick layer of fat just beneath its skin, which is called as blubber. But if you compare the same polar bear to this what you call tropic bear, it won't be that gigantic, whereas polar bear is too much gigantic because the thick layer of the fat, that means blubber, it is present beneath the skin. But both are actually bears only. But according to the region, diversity is noticed. Hope you got my point. If you take genetical also, see, one kid is there which is not exactly similar to the father or also to the mother. That means actually this kid is originated, took birth due to the contribution of both father and also mother, and father contributed sperm and mother contributed ova. But still this kid either not exactly similar to father or not exactly to the mother, share the characters. That means genetically also it is diverse. Whereas physiological also, see, let us continue the same example so that you can clearly understand. Actually, physiological, let us take this polar bear physiology, whereas you take a tropic bear physiology. And obviously the physiological components, that means the functioning, it obviously it differs. Whereas morphological, as I already told you, this polar bear, it consisting of what I call a thick what I call a thick what I call hair, which is called as fur, I'm sorry, I used a wrong word, that is hair. For us it is hair, but for in terms of animals it is called as fur. So like that, morphological difference also can be seen, physiological difference also can be seen, genetical and also regional difference also can be seen. That means every level of biological organization, one organism, it is differing, or it is showing its own uniqueness to the other organism. Let us take, we are all human beings and we are all living in the same area, but your taste or your way of receiving it is completely different from other organism, other human being. Your own friend don't be exactly similar, or don't be accepting exactly similar ideas of you. He may like pink color, or he may like red color, he may like white color, or he may eat what you call some spicy food, or he may eat sweets. or his taste and his ideas, he wanted to become a doctor, or he wanted to become a pharmacist, like that. Every organism is unique. Basically, this world, so millions and millions of organisms are there, but every organism has its own identity, its own thought process, their own ideology, their own thought process. So no organism in this world will be exactly similar to another organism, and that is called as a diversity. And the diversity is taking place in the organisms, that's why it is called as a biodiversity. Bio means what? Living organisms. Diversity means what? Variation. So variation that is seen in the living organisms will be considered as biodiversity. Hope you understand. Or you cut off all these details, simply diversity at all the levels of biological organization, it is called as biodiversity. See, both are valid definitions, but the first definition may I explained every detail of it, that means external characters and also internal physiology of the organism, genetical transmission, and also regional differences. But you need not to actually really mention this. Whatever you are comfortable, if you write this definition or this definition, both are valid, so no problem. So let us take, there is one scientist, his name is Rosen. Instead of biodiversity, he used, that means for the same biodiversity only, he used another word that is called as biological diversity. And after that, there is one more scientist. His name is Knowlson. Knowlson told, instead of biological diversity, it will be very simple and it will be little easy also. So he changed this particular biological diversity word to biodiversity. But one thing you need to understand, Knowlson, he proposed a biodiversity word, but it is very, very popularized by the scientist Edward Wilson. Very, very important thing you need to understand. Edward Wilson is the one who popularized this word, biodiversity. But of course, one thing you need to understand, he also used one more word that is called as combined diversity. But still, somehow he came to a conclusion, biodiversity is the apt word, so he popularized. So the biodiversity term, it is popularized by Edward Wilson. This is a very important question, very important question, many times asked. So please remember this. Whereas 22nd of May, it is considered as International Biodiversity Day. So hope you understand. Now let us go for still more details. Till now I explained about definition and who gave this word and who popularized this word and that all. And now I am going to explain about levels of biodiversity. Levels of biodiversity, it includes, the first one is genetic diversity, and the second one is species diversity, and the third one is community diversity. Community diversity is also called as ecosystem diversity. Let us take the first one, that is genetic diversity. But before I explain this, I will just ask you one a very small question. Let us take, today you wanted to eat some chawal. So you, oh, obviously if you wanted to eat chawal, obviously you need to what do you call, kharid karna hai. So you went to market and I need some chawal. Then that shopkeeper, that vendor ask you one question: which chawal you want, which type of rice you want. I, of course, I'm not expert in that. I don't know how to tell, some kollam rice or some jira asara rice or some basmati rice, like that, so many varieties of rice. When I don't know why to take all these names, but he will tell minimum 3 4 varieties of rice, and he will ask you again which type of rice you want. But please understand one logically point you need to understand: rice, it belongs to Oryza sativa. Hope you understand. By this, you by you, after using this point, you must have understand what I wanted to tell you. Basically, rice, it belongs to Oryza sativa, but still, according to the area where it is living, it is changing its form. And some area it is living, that's why it became what I call column rice. Whereas in some other area it is living, so it became jarasara rice, and some other area it becomes, I don't know which type of rice, and some area it becomes basmati rice, like that. This Oryza sativa, due to high adaptability, please understand, Oryza sativa, that means rice plant. Oryza sativa means I'm talking about rice plant. This plant, it is showing high adaptability. That means when you are changing the area, you don't want to die. It is changing its genetical diversity, it is changing its genetical makeup according to the changed area, and it is started producing according to that particular area, but still it don't want to die. Hope you understand. So diversity, hope you understand, students. I think I have taken like a convincing example only. So by this example you must have understood, but still if you don't understand, many students they're asking me doubts. I'm feeling so happy, you can ask me the doubt. Now let us take the definition of it. Genetic diversity means diversity at the level of genetic level or subspecies level. That means Oryza sativa is already a species, and again that sativa may you can see so many types of rices, so many types of vertical grains. Hope you understand. That means this particular species, when it is introduced into any other area, it don't want it to die. It is adapting, it is changing its form, its yield, its capacity according to the area in which it is introduced. Hope you got my point. And then it started giving yield according to that particular area where you introduced, and that makes so many subspecies again under species. Let us take one more small example. This is very small example. Crow, you know crow. Who don't know crow? Let us take actually crow, it is called as Carvus splendens. So that is a technical, basically this is a technical name of crow, a Carvus splendens. But you take Indian crow, Carvus splendens, see again it is repeated, subspecies. So in this, Carvus is genus, whereas Splendens is species name, and again Splendens is subspecies name. No, if you go little thoda down to this India, you can see Sri Lanka in that Carvus Splendens protegatus. You got my point. Hope you got my point. Carvus again genus name, Splendens is a species name. Again, Protegatus is subspecies. That means when the crow it is introduced into Sri Lanka, now this Carvus splendens it started acquiring or changing its body form. It started adapting towards that climatic conditions and started showing some variation with Carvus splendens, which is Indian crow. Now you understood. By this second example, I made it a little more clear to you. I am thinking so, but if you don't understand, you can ask me. Okay, now that means I'm telling you indirectly one thing. Now I'm that indirect point, I'll make it direct. Genetic diversity, it helps the population or species to adapt. So the adaptability of a species and changing that species into many subspecies. Actually, Charles Darwin, very very famous scientist. Charles Darwin's, I think no one who are listening to this video lecture, no one without knowing him, no one is there according to my knowledge. Such a Charles Darwin, when he went to Galapagos Island, he has seen same finch birds but 14 subspecies of finch birds, and some finch birds are eating grains, some finch birds are eating fruits, some finch birds they are living like an aquatic bird, like that. Finches are same, but he started observing 14 different types of finches in the same island. That means they started adapting towards various food habits. That means this finch, for example, if it did not opt for any other alternative food habit, obviously it will die, because competition takes place. Due to the competition, the same species organisms, they compete among themselves, they fight among themselves for the same food, for the same space, and they keep on harming each other, and one day that species will extinct. But that did not happen. Why? Finches has that adaptability, that capacity to adapt according to the changes. Hope you got my point. So This genetic diversity, it results, it brings or it awakes the capacity of a species to adopt and form new subspecies. That means species ka andar some subspecies. Now that only I made it in a small, a simple equation form, so that you can understand. My intention is you will understand more diversity of species, that means more varieties of species. That shows that species it is having more capacity to adapt. That means the upper definition and second point, instead of reading this, I thought if I make this simple equation, obviously you will little more like clearly you will understand that, like I can say this point is a summary of these 2 points. So more diversity of the species, that shows that species has more capacity to adopt. Hope you got my point. And obviously this is it's like a known fact that genetic variability is the raw material. Basically if you wanted to construct a house, you want some cement and some bricks, like that. If you wanted to adopt, obviously genetic material, DNA and RNA is the one who will decide the characteristics. So genetic variation is a raw material for the speciation. Now, to explain this genetic diversity, I brought just 2 3 examples. Then you will a little more clearly understand. Of course, by this now, by this time only, I have taken 2 examples. But let us take one more example. Now, this is a plant, Rawulfia. Of course, Rawulfia vomitoria. It is actually a medicinal plant which is growing in colder regions. That means I can say Himalayan regions. But see, plant is same. Rawulfia vomitoria is the same. But according to the which area it is growing, the same Rawulfia plant, it is showing different amounts and different capacities of the chemical called reserpine. See how beautiful example it is, how simple and also a powerful example it is. It is so simple. You may think that Rawulfia vomitoria, it is producing chemical called reserpine, but see, try to understand the intention of this example. It is all the Rawulfia plants are producing chemical called reserpine, but same Rawulfia vomitoria plant, when it is growing in different areas, according to that area it is producing some what I call amount and potential of chemical reserpine. Maybe most favorable condition may, if Rawulfia, if it is growing, more amount of reserpine it is produced, and that reserpine it is more potential. Let us take reserpine, Rawulfia, it is growing in a medium, that means medium favorable conditions, then also it is producing reserpine, but very less amount, and also with a very less capacity, very less working potential. So you try to understand, when the plant is same, but still according to the area when it is adopting, its capacity, its amount of producing reserpine, it is decreasing. You got my point, I think so. Now in India, let us take in India examples also. 50,000 genetically different species that are present in rice. I see. Being a teacher, I couldn't be able to take what I call more than 3 4 varieties. I used, I think so. I don't even remember. Also, I used some column rice, Jerasara rice, and also Sona Masuri and Basmati, and that means 4 examples I have given. But just India, in India only there are 50,000 genetically different species of rice are there. Will you believe it or not? This is truth. Whereas 1,000 varieties of mangoes. See, this is a mango season. When your father, along with your father, when you are going out, you can see how many varieties of mangoes. Someone will say Alfonso, someone will say some other name, and some names I don't even know also. So that many varieties of mangoes, but mango is same, Mangifera. But see how many subspecies are there in that. That is a very key point, important point you need to understand. So genetic diversity means diversity at genetic level, or diversity of subspecies level. That means species again it is diverse into many subspecies, and that is called as genetic diversity. Students, I think you understood, because I have given like convincingly good explanation, which make you understand, which make you clear. But still if you have any doubts, you can text me, I will answer you. Okay. Now The next one is species diversity. What is species? In the name itself, genetic diversity, species diversity. What is species diversity? Diversity among the species. So one or two species, understanding it. Let us, I'll tell you a very easy way. One area is there. For example, I'll make it example little more easy. Let us take one person is there. He's very rich. What is the meaning of he's very rich? He must be having a good amount of money. He must be having good amount of cars, or he must be having good amount of whatever some other vehicles, or he must be having some sona, that means gold, diamonds, whatever it may be. That means you are measuring that person richness in terms of his gold or his money, the car he is using, adi gadi or something like that, like that you are measuring it like that. Please understand, one area is very rich, matlab that area is having more number of species. I think now you got my logic. So this is a key point that you need to understand in species diversity. Species diversity means the area's richness has to be measured in terms of how many species are growing in that. That is a very, very important point, my students. Species diversity means, let us take the definition, diversity among the species within the same region. That means given region, let us take some area randomly, what I have to take, some Chennai. In Chennai, how many number of species are there? That shows the richness of that particular area called Chennai. Now, a brief summary: more the richness of species, that means more number of species, it show great the diversity of that particular area. Hope you understood that area diversity, it will be represented by how many number of species. For example, one cook is there. He's telling that I'm a very good cook. I'll cook so many things. Are yaar, how many items you can cook? That show it's his richness. Hope you understand. Okay. Now, this species diversity can be measured in terms of two things. What are they? Species richness and species evenness. Now let us take one after one, then you will understand. Species richness means how many number of species are present in the given area in the given time. That is called as species richness. Let us take number of amphibians in Western Ghats are very, very rich when you compare with number of amphibians in Eastern Ghats. That means, see, that area, it is rich, it is splendid, it is like filled with this particular amphibians. But when you take in other hand, number of amphibians are less in Eastern Ghats. That means it shows its richness in having number of amphibian species. Hope you got my point. Whereas species evenness, please, when I am saying this particular name, species evenness, of course many students, at least some students, they confuse. Species evenness means dogs also 100, ants also 100, and pigs also 100, human beings are also 100. Please don't understand, misunderstand. Species evenness means not a species in a organisms number is 100 100 100. So it is not like that. Species evenness means that area should accommodate all the species equally, then that is called as a species evenness. Hope you understood. That area, so that Chennai, it is giving equal opportunity of every species to live in that, and that means every species is feeling comfort. That means it is providing a comfort zone for the existence of all the species present in the area, then that is called as species evenness. Hope you understand. And this is called as species diversity. I think you understood what is species diversity. Now let us take ecosystem or community diversity. By this time you must have understood when I explained about genetic diversity and species diversity. I think you got 99% of the picture. You must have understood what is community diversity. Diversity at the level of community, then that is called as community diversity. See, I brought a very simple, very easy example also. Ecological diversity is very, very vast, very, very huge when you compare with Norway. Why? Because India, it has how many ecosystems? It has a deserts, rainforest, coniferous forests, and even tundras are there. But Norway may that are not there. That means that number of ecosystems, number of communities are very rich in India when you compare to the Norway. So the diversity of India is more when you compare it to Norway. Hope you understand. So that only I'm telling, diversity at community level is called as a diversity. I'm sorry, community diversity or ecosystem diversity. Hope you understood levels of biodiversity, that is genetic diversity, species diversity, and community diversity. And community diversity is again of three types. What are they? The first one is alpha diversity, and the second one is beta diversity, and the third one is this gamma diversity. Let us take one after one. Alpha diversity means this diversity within the same community. The same community may how much of diversity you can be able to see, then that is called as alpha diversity. No, the diversity between two or more communities, then that is called as beta diversity. Whereas gamma diversity means the complete geographical area, that whole area, that means whole Chennai mein kitna amount of communities are existing, kitna amount of diversity between the communities you are measuring, then that is called as gamma diversities. Please understand, only one community may you are measuring the diversity, that means variation, then that is called as this alpha. No, you are taking two or more, then that is called as beta. No, you are taking all the communities which are living in a given area, in the given geographical area, then that is called as omega diversity. So these are various levels of biodiversity. And this levels of biodiversity, many questions are coming in NEET. So that's why you need to understand this topic is one of the most important topic in what I call biodiversity chapter. Okay, if you don't understand this slide, don't hesitate to ask me again and again, again and again. I'm ready to explain because many questions are coming from this. Now the next one, magnitude of biodiversity. Okay, in even world also, or even in India also, we will take, of course we will focus on India more. Reason is basically more questions are coming from magnitude of biodiversity in India. So let us go for this. It is very very difficult, it is unbelievable, I can say, that 20,000 species of orchids and 20,000 species of ants and 28,000 species of fishes and 30,000 species of beetles. See, can you even imagine this many diversity, this much of diversity just in ants? Ants, just you can't even see also such a minute organism may this much magnitude of diversity, this much variation you can be able to see. Will you believe it? So that is called as a magnitude of diversity. So these are all, like, I wanted to make you what is magnitude of diversity. For that I brought these examples. Now let us come to the concept. What is the concept? We will see. According to International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, simply, instead of writing this much big of a sentence, IUCN. So this is a simple form: International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Simply IUCN, which is established at 2010. The total number of species of plants and animals so far discovered is 1.5 million. Of course no estimation is exact because keep on they're identifying new species. So it's an approximate value, that is 1.5 million species were identified. Of course that includes both plants and of course animals also. But once the project species 2000 and global biodiversity information, when these two organizations were established, then it became more easy, it became more faster to identify the number of species. So hope you understand. Whereas according to Robert Mayer, global species diversity, that means the diversity, that variation of a species that is present in this whole world, it is about 7 millions. Of course it is increased now, but still What he explained, that only I'm telling. So Robert May, global species diversity is about 7 millions. Out of that, 70% is it is of animals, and 22% is of animal, so plant species. That means animals are only more than plants. So this is a very very important point. Robert May concept is a very very important point in, that means in this today's lesson, this is a second most important topic what am I explaining. So according to Robert May, global, that means world's species diversity is about 7 million. In that 7 million, 70 percentage are animals, whereas a 22 percentage will be plants. Hope you got it. Whereas among these animals, especially I'm talking about animals, out of every 10 animals identified, will you believe me or not, I'm telling you truth, 7 are, that means 70% are only insects. That means remaining 3 only, they may be molluscans, or they may be human beings, or they may be mammals, or there may be what you call fishes, or any other category. But out of, for every 10 animals identified, in that 7 will be insects. That is the reason why animal kingdom, try to remember children, animal kingdom the largest phylum is what? Arthropoda. Again in that, the largest class is nothing but insecta. Hope you remember your 11th class may we explained about animal kingdom. In that, you have learned already, you have learned the largest phylum, it is nothing but this phylum arthropoda, and of course second largest one is mollusca. So that is another thing. But what I wanted to tell you is, out of 10 identified animals, 7 are insects itself, arthropods itself. Okay, now let us take a little more details. Okay, now, see, these are the graphs which are asked in your NEET many times. See, they don't get confused just by seeing these graphs. Very easy graphs. Okay, let us take, this is a given geographical area. Let us take this whole circle is one geographical area. It may be Chennai, or it may be Mumbai, or it may be Pune, or it may be Tamil Nadu, or whatever it may be. But what you need to understand is, this area is one geographical area. That is the point you need to understand. Now if you take, this is a geographical area, if you started counting the diversity of invertebrates, then as I already told you, otherwise I'll show you also, then you will understand, out of every 10, 7 are insects. Am I correct or not? Again, I'll come back. Now see, like that, 70% is, it is occupied by insects. I think now you got the idea. So that means you are dividing this given geographical area according to the distribution of the animals. Now after that the largest one, of course the first largest one is kingdom, sorry, I'm really sorry, phylum arthropoda. What is the second largest one? Molluscans. See, major area it is given to molluscans, and after that some crustaceans are there. Now after leaving all these three, then you have seen remaining all the other animals, all the other groups. That may be coelenterids, or that may be poriferans, or it may be any other invertebrate, all the invertebrates, nematodes, annelids, you take any one. But remaining all are this much only. But only insects this much, and after that this much molluscans, second more, and after that crustaceans this much more. Hope you got my point. And all remaining, all the phylums, only this much. Did you notice it or not? That I wanted to tell you. So in the given geographical area, always this insects are more, that means arthropodans are more, and baad mein molluscans are more, and remaining this much portion only rest of the other animals. Hope you understood. This is the way you need to learn this what I call global diversity in the given I'm sorry, diversity of invertebrates in the given geographical area. Hope you got my point. Now if you take the global diversity or a geographical diversity of vertebrates of the given area, again let us take this is Tamil Nadu, this whole area is Tamil Nadu. Now you started counting how many vertebrates are there, then half of the portion it goes to fishes, and बाद में you can see birds, and after that reptiles, and then only you have to go to amphibians and mammals. So the first major half it goes to fishes, and second birds, and then reptiles, and then mammals and amphibians. So this is how the distribution of various species in the geographical area, of course in terms of vertebrates, and this is in terms of invertebrates, like that. Again, in the given geographical area, if you started counting the number of plants, then maximum half it obviously it goes to what, this angiosperms. And by seeing this graph, obviously you will get one doubt. Sir, fungi it is kingdom mycota, why you included? See, actually this is the age of Robert May. By that time this biological classification is not done clearly. That's why earlier classification may even fungi are also included under this what plants. And after that many classifications has come, and then RH Whittaker, of course what we are following, and after that Bentham Hooker, like that Eclair classification, like that many classifications has come. And then what do you call we completely what do you call it separated this fungi as kingdom. But I'm talking about then before Eclair, before RH Whittaker time, that means it's Purana classification may fungi is also included under plants. So hope you got my point. That's why we included fungi also in this what I call estimation of the species in the geographical area. Let us take in plants in the given area, a maximum it will be contributed by angiosperms, whereas after second maximum it will be contributed by fungus, and then algae, thallophyta obviously largest, and after that what I call this mosses, and after that ferns, and after that very less portion it goes to lichens. See, this is a polluted area, and lichens cannot be able to survive, cannot be able to resist the pollution. Hope you got my point. So that's why lichens percentage is very very less. Hope you got my point. So this is the estimation of various number of species in the given geographical area. And still if you have any doubts you can ask me. But here I need to tell you one key point. Prokaryotes can't be able to estimated in the global biodiversity, because can you see at least how many, if, for example fishes, how many fishes I can count, how many fungi I can count, how many insects are there I can count. But will you be able to count prokaryotes? See, in while you are listening to this class, around you there are so many bacteria are there. Now you count how many number of bacteria are around you. Now coronavirus is there. Now show me how many coronavirus particles are there in this air. So you can't be able to take, hope you understand. So prokaryotes you can't be able to count. First of all, to count you have to see them. They are invisible. That's why this prokaryotes you can't be able to make or this type of representation. So hope you got my point. So prokaryotes are exceptional for this. Now let us take India share 2.1 percentage of world land area and 8.1 percentage of global species diversity. See, that much of species, that means we are rich. We are rich in terms of species. So species richness is high, and genetic variation is high, and community diversity is high. We are rich. Basically Indians are rich, okay, in terms of global diversity. Okay, you know, we are one among 12 mega diversity countries in this whole what I call world. 12 mega diversity countries may we are one of them. So because this much of land we are contributing, and this much of global diversity, global species diversity we are contributing, so India is rich. Now India has around 45,000 species of plants, and twice the number, that means is say double the number of what animal species. Of course many animals are yet to be like discovered. We did not identify complete animals, and it is not possible also. But according to Robert Mayer global estimation, 22% of the total species are reported till now. Of course, as I clearly told, many species need to be discovered. Okay, whereas in this, out of this 22%, when it comes to India, I'm talking about according to Robert Mayer's Now in India there are around 1 lakh plants and 3 lakh animals, of course identified, yet to be identified, many species need to be identified. Now there are 10 India has a 10 biogeographical regions which are having good biodiversity, and out of that most important one is Deccan Peninsula, very very extensive coverage of land mass, 42 percentage of the land mass, whereas Western Ghats 4 percentage of the geographical area, whereas northeast Himalayans they contribute 5.2 percentage of geographical area. So these are like three examples of out of 10 biogeographical regions which are very very rich in their biodiversity. Now, a large number of species of these zones are endemic. Hope you know what is the meaning of endemic. Organisms which are restricted to that particular zone. That means they can't. For example, if you take a kangaroos, they are restricted to one zone only. For example, if you bring the kangaroos from Australia from to India, they don't survive. That means the species which are restricted to one climatic zone only, then they are called as endemic. Now, if you take in terms of endemic species, 33% of flowering plants are exclusive, they are endemic to India itself. Now these flowering plants, if you take to America, Australia, they can't be able to survive. And in vertebrates also, 53% of the freshwater are endemic actually, they can't survive anywhere. They are our own property, only belongs to India itself. Now 60% of amphibians and 36% of reptiles and 10% of mammalian species, and this much fauna is endemic to only India, Indians property. Hope you got my point. And of course, which are mainly distributed in northeast and western Ghats, are what do you call islands, some Nicobar Islands, like that. Now, a very high number of amphibian species are endemic to Western Ghats than Eastern Ghats. Okay, so this is about our what I call India's biodiversity contribution. How much our country it is sharing in the global diversity में हमारा contribution कितना है, and that I explained. And tomorrow I'll come up with one more new topic. Okay, thank you so much. I think today's class you must have understood clearly, and we will meet with the next topic tomorrow. Thank you so much.